Ad Eima International stiamo assistendo a tante novità presentate dalle aziende, tantissime.
At Eima International, we are seeing so many innovations presented by the companies, so many novelties. Today we'd like to talk about Eima Digital, the digital world. We have as our guest Alessio Bolognesi, the person responsible for digital technologies. Welcome. Thank you. Can you explain what Eima Digital is? It's a showcase on the new technologies, on the new technological trends in agriculture. Well, new trends because their application has boosted in the last few years. Also during the pandemic, because there was a tax credit for transition 4.0, and this has certainly given a big thrust to the digital technologies. The technologies were already mature and ready for application. We have, therefore, a showcase of all these technologies and what is ahead of us. Cloud systems for supporting decision-making and helping farmers make decisions on how to work in a more profitable way, and then robots and autonomous machines. How important is this digital world to farmers? Well, perhaps they have to really understand the importance of the digital world thoroughly. All these new technologies have to be considered as something that does not fall within incentives. But these technologies are suitable for producing more and in a better way. This is a fact. Unfortunately, there is often lack of information on the practical and economic advantages coming from these technologies. We shouldn't forget that the European Union wants us to aim at the farm-to-fork strategy and the Green Deal, therefore reducing the environmental impact also of tillage and soil working. Technologies are an essential part of all this, perhaps the only way of reaching these goals. Precisely, the world is becoming increasingly digital, and farming as well has to adapt to these trends in order to improve production, as you said. But how do you communicate all this to the farmers? How do you tell them about all these advantages of digital technologies and how they can use these technologies? This is the most critical part, I think. At FederUnacoma, we're dealing with this from the manufacturers to the dealers and the farmers. Oftentimes, farmers rely on their dealers and agronomic consultants and consultancy companies. They have to be trained on these new technologies. As a federation, we try and promote training among the companies that produce mechanization tools for agricultural purposes, so that really their machines are used in the proper way to give an added value. We have to promote this technology with manufacturers so that the technologies become more accessible. Think of the first iPhone. You know, we were all using cell phones, and then the iPhone came. There were people using complex systems such as the BlackBerry, for example. But at that point, the iPhone was much better and more user-friendly, more intuitive. The technological solutions for agricultural machines are not that user-friendly, except for some cases, apart from some exceptions. We have to move in this direction instead, and we have to explain farmers what the real advantages are. Because one of the barriers is, why should I spend more to buy machines with these technologies? What's the benefit? How does farming change compared to the last 30 years? Well, it changes because there's greater production, better quality and traceability. Today, people want to know what the origin of the products that we buy from the supermarket is, how a field was cultivated, how an animal was raised. It's also up to the consumer buying the products to want all this information, and farmers must be aware of this. They should receive all the necessary information. They must know that consumers have to have evidence on what they buy. Fortunately enough, we have implemented processes of training through special agencies and organizations that train the farmers of the future. But of course, we have to focus on today's farmers too. Yes, I imagine that the new generation has less difficulties using these digital technologies because in a way this new generation is born with a cell phone in their hands, but it's harder to explain to other farmers, the older ones. There has to be someone supporting them. The supplier of agricultural and agronomic services must be there helping farmers, explaining them also the reasons why you must collect data of the crops, why we must know about the nutrient concentration of the soil in a certain area vis-à-vis another one. So you should not till the whole field in the same way. But if there is greater need, you treat more, and where there is less need, you treat the field less. If you explain this, then the farmer also understands what the savings are. Yes, savings are always important. In this case, we also have to make the farmers aware of the fact that working in this way reduces the impact of tillage and also fertilization. For example, certain substances may pollute the subsoil. Now, to wrap up, in order to digitalize all the agricultural world, in order to save money and improve production and quality, how long does it take? Well, from the manufacturer's point of view, I would say that not a major effort will be required, because going around at Eima Digital and in general at Eima, the solutions are already there. But we must work together with the institutions. We're doing a lot in this respect, because we have to promote the purchasing of these technologies. The first entry barrier is the impact of buying a machine with a greater technological content, but those who own such a machine see the difference. The fact of working at developing incentives means that farmers start touching with their hands a machine which they would not have bought out of their pockets. At our federation, together with the organizations and political entities with whom we partner, we invest a lot in training. This is crucial for the future, where digital technology will take the lion's share. We wish you it's going to be a smooth and quick process in order to meet the challenges of agriculture. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you.